Welcome back to Glowing Hour. I almost said that. We care a lot. Today's cocktail, it's a mocktail. Again.
Surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise. We're on a mocktail kick. No, we're not sober. We've been drinking here and there, but not on the podcast.
Not on the podcast.
We've been saving our drinks for the weekend. Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, honestly.
But honestly, we've really been liking not drinking at the moment. Mm-hmm. So today's mocktail's like, I know last week we talked about not getting sick.
Right.
We said a lot about citrus. Here's a citrus girly that you can have during the holiday season if you're feeling a little sick, but your friends are drinking. Here it is.
Yeah. And it's cute.
Let's drink.
Oh. It does kind of taste like a cocktail. Like, I think that orange syrup makes it taste a little more cocktaily. Very orange.
Very orange forward.
Which is what it was supposed to be. So, here we are.
It tastes like something stronger than like an orange juice.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it. You could definitely add like another flavor in there if you wanted.
Yeah.
Like a little rosemary or a mint. Make it more mojito-y.
Pomegranate. Like, there's so many things.
It's really good, though. I would take a stab at it. All right, today we got the topic of, I mean, you can read, but radical acceptance. This is a good one. I think resembles kind of like or I guess like I think there was one point where a long time ago where we talked about like body positivity versus just like having radical acceptance or neutrality. I feel like radical acceptance is like a push beyond that.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, I think that radical acceptance might be
your best friend or something.
Your best friend if you have anxiety issues.
Yeah. I agree. Sometimes like if I think someone might be mad at me or annoyed, I'm just like, it is what it is. They're mad.
Literally, I was gonna say, I even push it to the point of like, okay, they're mad and what?
Yeah.
Like, now what?
They won't be mad tomorrow. And if they are,
they're mad.
Then what?
Yeah. I think I heard somewhere that like radical acceptance is the difference of like not letting pain become suffering.
That's a good way to put it.
Because the pain is instant, right?
Yeah.
But the suffering is long term and something you will continue to carry.
Oh my God. Ew. I'm just thinking about like a breakup or something. Like
radical
the pain is immediate. And then if you just accept it is what it is,
it's easier to move forward.
Not to say that it'll get rid of the pain.
No. But you won't suffer thinking that it's,
Like what? It kind of like kills hope. You know what I'm saying though? Like on a flip side, in a good way, and a lot of the times, because like, what am I gonna live in the hope of them coming back to me forever?
Right?
No.
But I almost even think about it. I think about it as like radical acceptance is like the fastest train down to rock bottom, so that you can come back up. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's like self-inflicted rock bottom so that you can literally shoot back up because there's no other way,
Yeah. How do you feel about radical acceptance to friends? Like, you can't make someone radically accept something.
No, this is a personal agenda only. I just
wish we could be like, they're gone.
They're done, bitch.
They're an idiot. Stop.
No, you have to beat around the bush a little bit with other people because unless they radically accept themselves.
Listen, wasn't it weird when they did that one thing?
It's just a little weird, right? You know what I thought about the other day? Yeah, no.
No?
No, I'm playing with the joke.
I was like, what'd you think about? Why aren't you going to bring it up? Was it about me?
I'm radically accepting it's not important.
Oh my God.
But anyway, I think that's really true. And again, with a person with anxiety, it's easier to tell your brain like, worst case scenario happened right now. Now what? It's easier to move fucking forward. I'm not even joking.
Yeah.
Because once you've accepted that it already happened or the situation is as you think it might be, the answer is, okay, now what?
Right. Radical acceptance. I do think we can all take a lesson from radical acceptance, and I really just don't see there ever being a bad outcome from it. Well, I guess if it was to be like, some people might confuse See, here's the thing. Radical acceptance is great. But if you confuse the concept with just like ignoring an issue, right? Or like being like passive about things,
right,
that's when it's an issue. So make sure you're not confusing that little fine line of like,
I think that's like so anti-radical acceptance though.
being passive about it. Yeah.
It's just like, it's the opposite, but you might think that you're just like accepting it, but
right.
you're not.
But you're currently living and thinking and what's the word? Steeping in it? Stewing in it. You're just stewing in it instead.
Yeah.
But you think you're...
Also, with that made me think about the fact that you might think that radically accepting something means you cannot change it. And that's not true. Because
okay, explain.
When you do radical acceptance, you're accepting the present moment or the past. You cannot radically accept the future because it hasn't happened yet.
They're never going to change.
Like, so what you're doing, you're radically accepting the present moment or something that happened to you already. That is set in stone, right? But the thing that you can change is what's future to come. You can move towards changing something once you've already accepted that it exists.
I see what
if
you're
it
saying.
doesn't exist and you're ignoring it or you're pretending
exist.
that it does not exist, there's nothing to be changed.
Okay.
So radically accepting is you saying, all right, that is what it is right now.
It doesn't have to be that tomorrow.
It doesn't have to be that literally the next second.
Yeah.
If you don't want it to.
Depending on what it is, right?
Depending on the
yeah,
situation.
You can't change other people, but well, right. Sometimes you gotta
said.
Radically accept that person.
Yeah, that piece is true. But you know what you can do is step away, and that's the change.
And
but you gotta radically accept a person as how they are.
Step away and hope. I radically accept that's who they are today, but I will step away and hope. You start saying that
and
to people, what a burn.
Or
you know
boundaries.
What? I radically accept that's where you're at, but I'm gonna take a step back and hope for you.
And hold hope for you.
I'm gonna hold this space.
What a burn.
For you to grow.
Jeez. Anyway,
giving you all the comebacks here. Yeah, don't be saying that. So what I found though was a little bit of a 12 ways, I guess, to actually practice radical acceptance. So let's give it a good little read. Let me see where it's from. Healthy Minds Counseling Services. Thank you and shout out.
Shout out to them.
First thing, let go of judgment and instead practice perceiving things from an objective point of view. I'm good at that. That's like it's almost criminal how good I am at that.
Literally. You're... I mean,
it's
do
hurtful
you still
sometimes.
feel that way? Like, even when it's like...
about me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, even... like
that's why I make excuses for all my ex-boyfriends. From an objective point of view, I'm like, well, they were kind of going through something.
I mean, that's so true. Yeah. Okay.
See, I'm just like, it's so true.
I feel like...
I mean, I might still not radically accept it, though.
Yeah.
I could still be like, I get it, but fuck that.
I mean, yeah.
You know?
Getting cheated on is like...
Right, I get it, but fuck that.
Well, fuck that. Yeah, that piece is hard. I think step one, yeah. Just...
think about the other person a little, just for a second.
Listen, this is 12 ways
yeah, it's not
to
a
do
step.
it.
Yeah.
It's not the way to do it necessarily. It's one of the ways.
Mm-hmm.
Next we have is notice when you're resisting reality by catching when you feel chronic resentment and condemnation. Condemnation. Jesus Christ.
When you notice when you're resisting reality. Damn. So it's kind of like
by catching when you feel
resentment. Like, oh.
That one hits.
Like, oh, you guys got together and had dinner? You did it without me on purpose. But then the reality is they just decided to grab dinner together. But you're just that condemnation, man.
Dude, this one hits. This one like hits younger me. When my friends used to hang out, which they're so fucking allowed to, but they would hang out without me and not invite me.
Yeah,
it felt so purposeful at the moment.
Yeah,
but now I'm like, okay, they purposefully didn't invite you, Melissa. So what?
Right, you accept it.
I
wasn't invited. Period.
And even my worst thought is they didn't invite me on purpose.
I mean, that part's probably the
But again, this is my anxiety speaking, right?
You can accept it still.
I have to accept it.
Right.
The change is either talk about how it made you feel or something, or not be their friend because you feel hurt by them. Mm-hmm. I wish I knew that. I didn't know radical acceptance as a kid. It's hard.
Next one, practice relaxing your body and releasing tension from your muscles with breathing exercises.
Or that's tapping. Like, have you heard of
the
tapping?
radical acceptance? Like, that's a you're really trying to accept something with that one. Most of the time, you could just be like, "Well, fuck it
happened."
Yeah.
Tapping.
I don't know exactly what you do, but I've heard of tapping.
Well, okay.
Is it like the rubber band thing?
No.
No.
I don't know what that is.
It's like you snap a rubber band to distract you from like the triggers and like wanting to.
That sounds like self-harm.
Yeah. No, but it's
like
form,
but it's like not.
It's like to avoid a severe form of.
Yeah.
Right.
No. My therapist taught me one where like you make a butterfly with your hand, and then you tap your chest in like a fluttering. It helps you process and like calm your nervous system. There's also if you're feeling tension, is like think about whatever it is that you're having fucking anxiety about or like needing to radically accept. Squeeze all of your body. Like you could start first with like your hands or whatever, squeeze it really tight and then release and like release the thought and have like that visualization with your entire body.
Ooh, I like that one.
That one's really helpful.
Love a good breathing exercise, physical thing.
Connection. Yeah. Next, consider all decisions and events that led up to your current reality and the part that you played in them.
So like just taking accountability.
Yeah, I think most of the time, a lot of things that are upsetting, sometimes you like think about everyone else and everything else that happened to you, but you don't really play the parts that you played
like
in that.
I could have reached out. I could have.
Right.
Whatever.
So.
All right. Fair enough. Accountability is important. If you're tempted by destructive behaviors, accept that you feel this way, but avoid giving in. It's like, I want to eat a whole thing of cookie dough.
Oh.
I accept
I
would like to do that.
Sounds like a good idea.
But I know it's not.
Yeah.
I accept that I would love to eat that whole pie in the fridge to feel better for a moment.
Maybe you really, really, really want to sleep with that bad guy.
Oh. But you won't.
But you shouldn't.
No, but you won't.
But you won't.
Right? You won't.
You won't. Next, know that the appropriate actions have to do with our attitudes and boundaries, not those of others. Damn. Again, accountability.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even have an example for this one. This one's just hard hitting on its own.
Just stop blaming other people. I guess. I don't have an example. Next, learn to observe instead of judge by noticing common patterns where judgment occurs for you. Right.
Well, this goes back to the piece of like any judgments you make about somebody else are projections
reflecting the worst part of yourself
you.
Sometimes.
So whenever I have that big moment, a lot of times.
You said, oh, it's because I hate that about me.
Yeah. Sometimes I like say something about someone. I'm like, what does that say about you though? And then I'm like, oh, that's not. I get where that's coming from. And then it just like, you're like, okay.
Maybe it's not about that person that I'm judging right now.
Even if it was, even if that's something that's bothersome about them, it's only bothersome because you recognize it from somewhere else. And let me tell you, the call's coming from inside the house.
No, not that.
So
careful who you judge, babe. Out loud.
Out loud anyway.
Find the willingness to do what's effective in a given situation rather than refusing to make changes. Right. Like sometimes you can't do anything about it. What are you going to do? Go over to the spot they're having dinner at that they posted on Instagram? No. You're like, hey guys, I wasn't invited. You know? You're just like, I wasn't invited. And that's okay.
I'm like having trouble with finding the willingness to do what's effective in a given situation rather than refusing to make changes.
Like you can't change in a situation.
Is that also telling you like to find like, I'm taking that as like do with what you can and like
and release what you can't.
Yeah, like basically
like the refuse to make changes part.
Yeah, like don't be so like headstrong on like a situation and not like okay, like the friends didn't invite you to dinner, right?
Yeah.
But then someone else is like, hey, you want to come hang out? And you're like, fuck, like they didn't invite me. Like, you're still talking about them when like this person is giving you an opportunity, the willingness to hang out with you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what I'm saying. Like,
don't harp on this part.
Yeah.
Like, make changes where you can.
Like, you've already accepted you weren't invited to that. Right?
Right?
Oh, Lord.
Next, brainstorm the ways you'd act if you were no longer resisting reality. Then practice these actions.
Oh, the brainstorm of it all.
I love a good brainstorm. I love a good brainstorm of the person I want to be.
Let's see. Brainstorm the ways you'd act if you were no longer resisting reality. Then practice these actions. I mean, like,
so if reality is that they didn't, we're using the same example, that they didn't invite you to dinner.
Brainstorm ways I could react.
Brainstorm
the ways I'd act if I was no longer resisting reality. So in a good way. I'd brainstorm good things, not bad things. Storm in and beat them up. Yeah. You know, like, I mean, honestly, the brainstorm would end at do nothing, right? You radically accepted it. I don't know. Not saying that's the only option, but like...
The fucking ice in me have a battle right now. Okay. They didn't invite you.
Yeah.
The reality is they didn't invite you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the reality is that's it.
Mm-hmm. Like, that is the reality.
That is the reality. The brainstorming comes with, okay, you're not there, so what else could you be doing? Brainstorming,
I see.
Instead, I have now time to do my laundry. Instead, now I can call up my mom. Instead, now I can go hang out with a different friend. Oh, I can go catch up a movie. These are the things that you could be doing if you weren't resisting the reality and still harping on something that is already true.
Because if you don't radically accept, then you're just sitting there like talking to everyone like, why aren't they? Why am I not invited?
Right.
Why wasn't I there? Can you believe they did that to me? Like, bring it up to everyone you see. I've done that for sure. There's days where you're just like, can you fucking believe it?
You say it to everybody. And also, like, at that point, you're just like regurgitating or like creating the same reality. You're like cementing a layer every time.
You're like, right? Truth. You believe me, right? Like, everyone that agrees, you're like, right?
It's like cementing your reality. So next,
examine your expectations and decide if they're reasonable or if they were too high or low. Okay. That's fair. Like, they didn't invite me to dinner. Are my expectations that I'm invited to everything? Maybe those are too high of expectations.
Yeah.
And then maybe
no, I can't think of a low expectation.
I'm like low.
That goes to show what kind of people we are, dude.
Low expectation.
Maybe it's like,
okay, what's an example of where like you would be bugged about
a low expectation?
Like, they didn't text you the night before for dinner? I mean, for a date? Like, is that a thing? But that would be a high expectation. Yeah. So what the fuck is a low expectation?
Oh no, that's for us to radically accept and find out.
What's a low expectation, you guys?
Let me think about it 1 second.
Oh my god, he opened the car door. That's a low expectation, right? I literally can't. But then what do I do with radical acceptance in terms of that? Like, I radically accept that he's a shit person.
I don't know what a low expectation is. Now that I realize. Anyways, for us to find out later.
Yeah, I don't know. Let us know if you have any low expectations.
Understand that acceptance is a choice that needs to be made again and again over time.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes it's you can't just accept it once and never think about it again. Which is the way the word radical sounds that way, though.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's like this one time. No, it's like you have to radically accept often. Yeah.
Hate that. Lastly, make a list of coping statements that will help bring you back to the present during difficult moments. Weren't we just talking about those? And what?
And what? Then what?
Coping statements. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully y'all are radically accepting shit, because otherwise you're spending a lot of time hoping, wishing for things to be different in your present moment. And that's just a terrible way to be spending the present.
Yeah.
It's a gift, as they say.
As they say.
As they say.
And I haven't come to believe yet. Just kidding. I think this is a really good thing to try to continue to practice, again, for everyone, but for you, my anxiety queens. Try this out, honestly.
Radical acceptance. I love her. My RA.
I don't know if it's like because I'm like most of the time I'm working on being optimistic. Let's say that. I'm not going to say I'm a pessimist, but I'm constantly working towards optimism. Things like this are helpful because my brain is so programmed to think worst case scenario, aka why I have depression and anxiety. But it's really helpful to like tell my brain like, okay, you win. Now what, bitch? Like, figure it out, you know?
Yeah, I think it's like instead of feeling like you have to be overly positive about it, like, no, they didn't mean harm, or they didn't, like, making up another story when you already have a story in your head about what happened, which, like, still could be wrong, but, like, just using what you already have in your brain, you don't have to do anything else, and just say, okay. Instead of being like, well, okay, I'm going to try and be positive. Let me think that. Just be like, okay. And then genuinely feel that, though. Don't be like, okay, fine then. And then in the next move, do something in spite of whatever.
I almost feel like the radical acceptance is like when you think of like this snowball that's like building, right? If you just like put a barrier up really quick that says, okay.
Okay.
It just stops it from growing. And you can even shatter it sometimes if it hits it really hard. Instead of like letting it to like keep rolling and fucking growing.
Yeah. I think therapy a lot of the time likes to use like visual aids, or like the breathing exercise, things that like literally make you imagine your problems going away. Because we're visual people. I mean, I think most people are like the inner
monologue
comes back, and I'm like confused
again.
People
can do that. Can you picture a snowball?
You picture a snowball and then a big stop sign? Because like mine was really pretty and kind of like Mario Kart.
Me too.
Period. Anyways,
radically accept. It's good for you.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll catch you guys next week. We hope that you enjoyed this episode, and please give us a good review, a little good rating, and just engage on any of our platforms or socials at We Care A Lot Pod. All right, we'll see you guys later. Bye.